Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Made. I am your host, Jackie Hanzl, and with me today, I have Jen Rozenbaum. And Jen is a New York-based boudoir photographer, cancer and divorce survivor, seeker of joy, and my former college roommate.
Yay! It is actually on my formal bio.
That's right. We are talking about Schitt's Creek, which I'm so happy because the show. I mean, come on, the show. And I'm so happy to talk about it. We are discussing the first episode and also the last episode, as Jen requested, which I think is a wonderful idea. And thank you, Jen, because rewatching, especially the final episode, I just bawled.
Please tell me you didn't cry. Give me a break. Like, if you didn't cry, you are not human.
I bawled. Well, I bawled the first time, obviously, I watched it. And then this time when I watched it twice, because I always watch it one time through, and then the second time I take some notes and stuff, and just I think I bawled almost the entire time.
Yeah. It's like the more you know it's going to happen, the harder it is not to cry.
I know. And you know, too, that they're filming this for the last time, and you know they're actually really crying because, the whole thing. It's just, And, okay. So I'm going to give a series synopsis in case for those of you who have not seen it. If you have not seen it, you better watch it right now. After this interview.
Where have you been?
Watch this interview.
Ew. You'll get that joke later. Okay.
Actually, I just did that like Jimmy Fallon, not like Alexis. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. So Schitt's Creek is a Canadian television sitcom created by Dan Levy and his father, Levy, I'm sorry, right? And his father, Eugene Levy. I won't go into too much of the years, blah, blah. It follows the trials and tribulations of the formerly wealthy Rose family. After their business manager embezzles the family business, Rose Video, the family loses its fortune and relocates to Schitt's Creek, a town they once purchased as a joke. Now living in a motel, Johnny, Eugene Levy, and Moira, Catherine O'Hara, along with their adult children, David, Dan Levy, and Alexis, Annie Murphy, must adjust to life without wealth. Okay. So the first episode is called Our Cup Runneth Over. I got this from fandom.com. The once opulently rich Rose family, following news that their now absent business manager named Eli has left them financially ruined by not paying their taxes, are left by the government with only a modest income and one asset, the town of Schitt's Creek. Family patriarch Johnny purchased the backwater town over 20 years ago solely as a joke for his son David, who didn't even know about it. As it is their sole asset, they are forced to live there in 2 rooms at the local rundown motel until they figure out a way to get back on their feet. In Schitt's Creek, they will initially mostly, this seems weird, have to interact with Stevie Budd, the front desk receptionist who prides herself on not doing anything, and the town's mayor, Roland Schitt, a socially unaware redneck. Their daughter, Alexis, believes she has a plan to save herself, and only herself, from this new life. The rest of her family be damned. Johnny will learn that despite his disdain for Roland, it is best to keep on the mayor's good side. So that's the recap of the first episode.
Yes.
Which I will tell you before we get into the last one. First time I watched this, I was like, I couldn't stand it.
I know.
Okay.
I know. You're like, what is this show even about?
I mean, I knew it was supposed to be funny and exaggerate. I couldn't stand it.
It wasn't
funny.
Like,
I can't stand them. No. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And then someone's like, give it a chance. Give it a second chance. I'm like, all right. Last episode recap, which is called Happy Ending.
Go figure.
Yeah. Pretty sure. Wait, let me see. Let me make sure. Yes. Happy ending. The episode opens with David awaking. Is that a real word? Awaking up to his very own nightmare. It's raining on his wedding day. A storm has ripped through the town and ruined his ceremony site, which was not covered with a tent because David chose a wood fire pizza oven instead. Now there's no pizza, no wedding venue, and no officiant, who was coming from Elmdale and canceled. Moira generously offers to step in to officiate the wedding. One of the best parts.
Amazing.
Yeah. Patrick steps in to calm David down. Patrick has arranged for David to get a special massage. Whatever comes to mind when you hear this is what this person wrote. Whatever comes to mind when you hear the words, quote, special massage is exactly the kind of surprise rub down David gets. Meanwhile, the rest of our cast of characters are gathered to figure out how to pull off David and Patrick's wedding in the middle of a torrential downpour. Ray is documenting the day on a camera that looks like it's from 2005 while Johnny, maid of honor Stevie, and Patrick rally the troops. Roland and Jocelyn offer up their living room, the one place David refuses to get married in, and Ronnie comes through with an actual useful suggestion by noting that she has some sway with the florist. I can see if she can throw in some extra flowers, she says before making her relationship to the florist very clear. Johnny, when I say that I know the florist, I mean that I know the florist. When Patrick excitedly thanks Ronnie for the hookup, she says, I'm doing this for David. So it's like the running gag that Ronnie hates Patrick. I forgot that, actually.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with Patrick. I mean, come on.
No.
As for David, he's, quote, shockingly calm when Stevie and Patrick deliver the news that they will be getting married at the town hall. That massage really did a number, huh? Patrick says when David agrees that it doesn't matter where they get married. Yeah, that was the first time I ever received a happy ending, David says. Understandably, Patrick does not receive this news well. He gets upset, whatever. Patrick gets over it when he realizes he inadvertently told the masseuse to basically, you know what, his husband to be, and we're back on track for the wedding. Okay. At the motel, Alexis and Moira are getting ready. Moira is practicing her officiant speech while Alexis is feeling sentimental. I started crying at this part. I mean, she launches into a speech about how it's the last time her whole family will be together, and we're all Moira in this moment, trying to get her to stop so the emotions don't take over. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. She then confides to her mother that she's almost glad they lost the money because they got to spend so much time together. I wish I could imitate her, but I can't, Moira. I'm happy you and your feelings are so well acquainted. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so you did.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I feel like you can do it.
Thank you. Moira says, but you wouldn't be the first hostage to fall in love with that captor. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I can do it. It's so good. Thank you. Alexis gives her a big emotional hug and a boop on the nose in true Alexis fashion. When David arrives back at the motel, he finds Alexis in a stunning, long, very Marilyn Monroe-esque white dress. You're wearing a wedding dress to my wedding, David yells. Alexis swears it's not a wedding dress, even though it came with a white tulle headdress. David is worried everyone is going to think they're getting married to each other, especially because Alexis is walking him down the aisle. They cheers with some champagne as Alexis tries to distract her brother from the fact that she may upstage him at his wedding. By the time we get to the town hall, decked out in flowers from Ronnie's side chick, and we see Patrick at the altar. Okay, I think this person talked about they kept crying. The Jazzagals take their places and do a really sweet rendition of Precious Love by James Morrison as Moira enters. This says, wearing the greatest Moira Rose look of all time. Yeah, it was like Madonna, priestess, goddess, I don't know. Yeah. As Alexis and David walk hand in hand down the aisle, the Jazzagals sing the best. Okay, that song. Like now, every time I hear that song on the radio, I think of it so differently. Oh, it's just so good. Okay. Yeah. Patrick begins his vows with, I'm going to keep this short because I think you already know I would climb 1,000 mountains for you. And then he sings Mariah Carey's Always Be My Baby. Because that was like a joke or something. Didn't David want him to sing that? There was something, I don't know, from a previous episode. Okay, well, if you don't remember, that's okay. Okay. The next morning, the family and Stevie and Patrick are together to send off Johnny and Moira to Los Angeles. They say their goodbyes, and Moira and Johnny are off as the kids, says / all of us cry. As Johnny and Moira drive away, Johnny does his best. Oh, because they stop he tells the driver to stop. He looks outside and it says he does his best. Jackson, Maine, I just wanted to take another look at you. Looking back at the infamous Schitt's Creek town sign. We're left with an image of the Rose family. It says, I don't think anyone will ever forget. The town's tagline is one that could be the thesis of the past 6 seasons. Schitt's Creek, where everyone fits in. It says that one was for the fans. I just wanted to get in there too, because I couldn't totally remember everything. Basically, Johnny was starting roadside motel franchise. Moira, they were rebooting her old soap that she was on. Alexis is becoming a publicist in New York. David is staying in Schitt's Creek with his husband, house and business. And then isn't Stevie going to run like the motels or something?
Maybe. I don't remember. I'm really bad at it. It's your homework and watch it before this, but
it's okay. That makes me feel better because I was like, oh my gosh, she can know everything. Okay,
no,
that's fine.
I'm not one of those people that like watches TV and memorizes everything. I just remember how I feel when I watch something, you know? And like for me, it was like, it was, so good.
So I have, oh my gosh. I have notes from, for my notes from the first episode. I have to tell you, and I thought this, I know when I watched it the first time around, you do look a lot like Stevie.
I've heard people have told me that.
Yes. Especially her look and you from college, from when I knew you, because she's got like jeans on, Converse sneakers. You had Converse sneakers, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. I still do.
Gosh, yeah. Okay. Well, so do I. Yeah. I don't think I had them in college, but I thought you did. And like the sweater and like the striped shirt, I was like, oh my God. Like, totally.
Yeah,
totally
I do get that quite a bit, actually.
And I said, I told her that I hated the show the first time. Moira yelling at her help in the beginning because they put two wigs together that don't get along. I mean, come on.
The best.
That was hysterical. I probably missed that the first time around or something. And then when they walk into the motel, Johnny says, smells like a gym bag. So that I could totally picture that, great description. When Moira is screaming about the missing diamonds, she goes like crazy. And she just keeps going, I get it, because that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean,
like a sense of control, right? Like,
yes,
I can't control my life, but like if I could just find this one thing, then I have control over my life.
Yeah. And so that didn't annoy me. That part did not annoy me, that she was screaming. Because sometimes some things she did, of course, you were like, oh my gosh, okay. So in the last, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You finish it.
I was going to get to the last episode, but you tell me if you have stuff for the first.
So what I think I love so much about the first episode was, first of all, I was going through a period of my life where everything was falling apart. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get myself back together after this. So it made me laugh through that and realize you have to laugh or else you're going to cry, right? I mean, it was like, you have to laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you really look at the characters, and I know it's like, it seems so silly because it's a comedy and it's so brilliantly written that way. It's so witty. But when you really think about it, it's such an emotional show. And I think that every character represents an emotion inside of one person, right? Like, the sarcasm and the fear and the optimism. Like Johnny's always optimistic about everything. And you're like, be a realist, and like his family's more realistic about things. Or Alexis is just like, ew, like, no, I'm not, no, this is just not my life, and how they change throughout the seasons to be so much bigger. I think that's why we didn't like the first episode or even the first season. They weren't big enough yet. The characters weren't big enough. Once they really understood who the characters were and people responded to it and related to it, the characters got big, especially Moira, right? Like really, they just got really big. And you're like, I have Moira in me. I have Johnny in me. Like I can be any of those characters at any given moment, and they're just really like little sort of emojis of different feelings and different emotions that we experience.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Definitely. Even Stevie. Yeah. Like Stevie seems miserable and like stuck. And you've definitely felt like that before.
Yeah. Well, because it was like nobody, right. It was like, there was nobody in her life to say to her, you can do more. It was like, I am stuck in this town. This is where I was born. This is where I was raised. This is what my life is this motel. And I have no other choice. And how many people do you know in their lives feel that way? I felt that way in my marriage, like I have no choice. This is what I chose to do. I took a vow. I need to stay here, even though I'm not happy.
And you might have felt that you deserved it. I hate to say that. I don't mean it like, you know what I mean? Like, and
I made these choices. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the bed I made. I have to lay in it. And and now that I'm divorced, I'm like, oh, how dumb was that? Like how stupid was it that I didn't realize I had other options or that the other options seem so scary that, you have to sort of, I don't know if you read Glennon Doyle. She oh my God, if you haven't read her book, you have to read it. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Because I've tell everybody on earth to read it. This is what chemo does to you. I'm having a chemo brain moment.
Let me see.
Yeah, please, because it's hurting my head
Lemon.
right now.
Well, she came right up. Okay. Untamed.
Untamed.
Love.
Thank you.
Okay.
Untamed.
I have not read it.
Oh my God, you must. You must.
Okay.
You must. You must. You must. Anyway, she has a quote in there, and I'm not going to get it right, but I'll tell you what the gist of it is. Basically, the gist of it is that the amount of change that you can expect in your life, or, you have to be ready to annihilate your life. Like, what is how it's almost like a direct relation to like how much you annihilate your life is how much it's going to change, right? Or how much you set yourself free. And like, I had to do that through my divorce. I had to completely annihilate my life. Like, nothing in my life looks the same as it did a year ago. So Schitt's Creek, they didn't have a choice, right? Somebody else annihilated their life.
Yeah.
Or cancer came in and annihilated my life in a lot of ways. But you're able to, when you get to the other side, like see the positive things that come out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Oh my God, read the book. Everybody that's listening to needs to read the book. Okay. Even men. Yeah, need to read the book. It's so good.
All right. I'm definitely going to read it.
So good.
Here. Okay. So then I guess we could go, my notes from the last episode. This is like just a funny thing. So Moira says Fabian, the original officiant, rode a penny farthing. And I'm like, what? So I have the captions on. I have to watch those captions, especially if I'm taking notes. And I'm like, so I had to like pause it. I looked it up. It's one of those bikes with the big front wheel.
Big front wheel and the little back wheel.
I definitely did not catch this.
Her words are like, it's brilliant. In my mind, I picture them writing the show like normal English and then going through the thesaurus and just looking up like every word that they could find that's ridiculous and they could add in. Like, and it writes like that.
Yeah. And then also, how could she over enunciate everything? She says binoculars. Oh, when Alexis is like, I didn't talk to you for a year. She's like, oh, that's not true. And then she's like, oh, was that when I did some kind of campaign for something binoculars?
She's amazing. She is by far the most brilliant actress on the show. By far.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. She does the officiating. I mean, I had to like watch it again. I played it again for my husband. He's watched the show. And I was like, no, you just have to watch the scene again where she marries him. Because she's like, no, like, I mean, and then she like kept screaming his name. She's like, David Rose. And of course, she had to say, Pepe's the Pepe Cross.
I love her. She's the kind of person, we all have one in our life, right? Where you're like, what? But I love you.
You know, it reached a point in the season that she would just walk in a room and I would start laughing. Yeah. Because she was wearing some sort of ridiculous wig. Yes. Or whatever she was doing.
But at the same time, you kind of envy her style. You're like, I kind of want that outfit.
Yeah, and how she just always looks perfect.
With the closet this big that she sits on the floor of. So
where these clothes came from. Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
It's so good.
And it's like, I remember when I finished it, first time around. I haven't watched the whole series again. Like I only watched it once through.
Yeah.
But I remember I missed it so.
You get so attached.
Oh my gosh! And I was like, it's over. And then I watched. They had a behind the scenes type episode.
Yeah, but then you see them as real people, and you're like,
I know. And on Instagram, I do follow some kind of Schitt's Creek fan thing, and they'll just always like throw up, a quote from there or something, and I'm like, no, it's just, it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
It said, one of the things I think I read, they said it was like one of the best character development, like the best examples of a character. I'm using the wrong word, but character development, like how much they, like you said, they changed. And you were right. We didn't like them because there was no depth to them.
Nope.
They were all like a stereotype of themselves, of the character, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
but it's, it's just so relative to real life. Sorry, I just like keep bringing it back to real life.
no, that's
It's
okay.
so relative, right? Like the more you are you, the more people are either drawn to you or not. It's so polarizing.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people who are like, I could not get into Schitt's Creek. I'm like, first of all,
Yeah.
we are no longer friends. And second of all, you obviously have no sense of humor.
Be right there.
I'm going to just stop you right now.
I think my mom, I feel like she did try to watch it. They did annoy her in the
parents
first
didn't
episode.
like it either. My parents.
It's like, you got to keep going. I swear.
I think when you get older, yeah, your time is more valuable. So they're like, no, I don't like it. I'm not going.
That, or she sometimes too, it's a too fast paced talking. I don't know. Like, I know sometimes she misses things,
Yeah.
But whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. You have to have like a little bit of you have to have a little bit of like a witty brain to like understand really what's happening,
Yeah. I mean, you kind of said, but I said why this series and why these episodes. But you kind of said why.
Yeah.
Why you did choose those. Who is your sorry, you can say.
No, I was just going to say again that I just really relate to having your life annihilated and waking up one day and going like, really, what the hell happened? How did I get here? What do I do? I don't know. And having to really listen and find yourself. I mean, they all found themselves, it's, it was
like they lost their identity really because their identity was the money and everything. Right. And with you, obviously, you lost. If you want to say lost, more than money. I don't even know about money, but you lost. Yeah.
I mean, when I had a mastectomy, for anybody that doesn't know, I had a mastectomy, and it's like and I had my ovaries out, and you start losing, your femininity gets attacked, and you're like questioning who you are and what's happening. And, when you finish cancer treatment, you're like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know, anything, because everything is different. Your perspective is completely different. And I think that like in their situation, when you take away the money, right, it gave people an opportunity to really see them. And they got to really see the people in their lives as who they were, which was really superficial and only friends with them for the money. And it gave them an opportunity to grow, by removing the money, which I'm not saying is the best thing in the world. Obviously, we all need money to live. But, it allowed them to have deeper connections with people. And I think that was like sort of the whole point in the beginning, right? When Alexis was always like, oh, this boyfriend, that, and this boyfriend, and we went on his plane and we did this and we did, it's showing like every single relationship you have is fully superficial. Nobody's coming to save you. Like in that first episode, she was like, oh, I have a plan and this one's coming to pick me up with his private plane. No, sister, nobody's coming to save you. You're on your own in this lifetime. You got to save yourself, and you're with your family. Family is everything, and don't abandon yourself anymore. And that's, she gives a million examples of how she abandoned herself over the years, right? Or abandoned her friends or whatnot. But she was not in a position to do that anymore once all of this happened. And that's something we can all relate to.
Definitely. When you were going through, treatment and cancer, did you also feel like, I mean, I hope this is not terrible. Do you feel like you're not even a person physically anymore? Like your body?
You feel very detached. You feel very detached from your body. You feel very detached. You don't know, like, this is such a dumb explanation, but you know how like you can look at something at a clothing store and be like, oh, I know that's the right shape for me, or I know that fits me, or you're aware of like your body, your size, I lost all of that. Like I had no idea what my body looked like, how it was supposed to look, because everything was like swollen or bloated or smaller or bigger or,
Did you feel like a stranger, like in your own body?
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
It's a very strange thing. I wrote a book about it, and I talk in the book a bit about how I was really upset with my body. Like, why are you doing this to me? Because I knew that my soul wasn't ready. So it's like, I don't understand, why is my body defying me and going against me. I take good care of it. You know, at the time I was in good shape and I was like drinking all the green juice and going to yoga and doing all the things right, you know. And I was very angry at my body at first. And then I realized that I had to make friends with my body and say, you know what? It's not me against my body. It's me and my body against cancer.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that the cancer was the unwelcomed guest, not the body. And I, instead of being angry at the body, said I'm sorry probably 1,000 times, because it was like, I'm so sorry I ever called you fat. I'm so sorry I ever, you know, abused you, or I'm so sorry that I'm putting you through all of this, because it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And I'm really just, if I'm being totally honest, really just within the last like 6 months or so, starting to feel more myself, more, you know, we long for like trying to be like we were before treatment, before cancer. And that will never happen, because that was 6 years ago. And I would have been a different person either way 6 years later.
Right.
But you just want to feel human again. You know, you just want to feel like, okay, I want to have some energy. I want to feel like my bones aren't aching and my boobs don't hurt and my, you know, and I'm really just now starting to feel a little bit more myself.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah. I mean, and also how often did you have to go and get treatment and go to doctors, and you're being prodded and picked at and looked at and
yeah, I mean, you basically spent like 2 years naked. You know what I mean? It's like, you might as well, like, there's no modesty left. I would just get naked in front of anybody right now. You know, like, I don't need, I'm like, it's not even mine at this point. Like, just, you know, like, I don't even care. You know, I always say, like, between having kids, breast cancer, and like waxing, it's like everybody's seen everything, right? So, like, who cares?
Yeah.
But, it's, you spend so much time with the doctor. You spend so much time worrying about going to the doctor, worrying about what the doctor's going to say, worrying about the test results. You know, it's like you spend a period of time in your life where you're either like anticipating an appointment or getting over an appointment, and there's very little time in between.
Yeah.
But it's weird, Jackie, you know why? Because like now I don't go as often, because when you hit 5 years, you go at Memorial Sloan Kettering, you go to the survivorship program. So, which is like supposed to be a great thing. You're supposed to celebrate. Every cancer survivor I know is like, I don't want to go there. I want to be with my doctor. I want to be here every 6 months. I want to, you know, like I need you to, in fact, like I'm thinking about changing doctors, because I really only need to go once a year now. And I'm like, that's not enough. I need to know more than once a year that I'm okay. You know, it's such a weird thing. It's like, you're like, I can't wait to get out of here. And then they finally free you up a little and you're like,
wait a minute.
No, this is not how this is going to work. You know,
I could see that.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I had messaged you when I went through having a biopsy, and it was just, all I thought about was you. And I was like, this is the smallest piece of what you've been through. And it was horrible. Like I was, you know, I had to lay on my stomach, and it took so long, and it was really hot in there. The air conditioning was broken, and I was laying on my arm. I was so uncomfortable, and the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this is like a smidgen, barely even a smidgen.
If my memory serves me, you're not really the best with medical stuff to begin with.
Oh God, no. If I had been sitting up, I probably would have passed out. Yeah.
You don't get that option when like you're your own advocate. You're like, I can't pass out. Although I almost did pass out once. I won't tell you why. It was really gross, but
I can imagine it would be really gross, because I feel like you would not pass.
I've never had that problem in my life. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm going down.
Oh,
like, what? I was like, I am going to pass out in about 3 seconds. Like, do something.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's put your legs up. And I was like,
oh gosh. Yeah. Really... It's in there. You know that.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Can you believe that I had a baby and I went through all that, and I got blood taken? But I know. I was like, take the blood. I'm not watching.
Take the blood. Remember, we would talk about it when we were in college, and you were like,
get dizzy?
I am not having the baby. I am never pushing anything out of there. I'm like, no. I can't even go to the gynecologist without passing out. I am not.
Grown up a little bit. You should have seen. Should I really talk? My first mammogram. I started to go down while they were doing it. And I was like, I'm going down. She's like, okay. So take me out of there, have the juice and cookies.
But don't breathe. Wow. Just wait. Don't breathe. Mammograms are the worst, because they're like, don't breathe. And all you can think is like, oh, I have to breathe. I have to breathe.
What do you mean? What do you mean don't breathe? Why are you walking away from me? There's just, tell me when it hurts. I'm like, what? Okay. Or tell me before it hurts. I'm like, no, I don't. And then I'm trying to be tough. Like,
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Well, especially too, going through some kind of exam, you're nervous anyway, but the fact that too, you're waiting to hear results. That's it, or you're not sure what's happening, or like it's just makes it a million times.
Yeah, the anxiety
mentally.
we call anxiety when you're
anxiety. Wow. Yeah, that's a good name for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Schitt's Creek. Who is your favorite character?
Oh my God, I don't
know. It's a tricky one.
I just think Moira. I don't know. I just think Moira. Like, I also love how oblivious she is to how ridiculous she is. Like, and I wish I had a little more of that. Like, I wish my watch is speaking to me. Sorry. I was like, oh my God, is Moira here? But I love that she's just like so brilliant and so stupid at the same time.
Yes.
Like, so highly unaware of her surroundings, and she cannot read the room to save the life of her.
No.
But she's great. But you're like, I want to be like that. Like, I want to just be unapologetically me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, she ran for government. You know what I mean? Like,
I forgot.
What? Because it mattered to her what happened in that little podunk, disgusting town that she didn't want to live in. She was like, no, I need to make a difference here. You know, like, I need to make a mark here. I'm not going to try to interpret and impersonate. Impersonate is not impersonate. Thank you.
Impersonate.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's a
yeah, it is. Who do you relate to the most? And that's hard because you said like each one was kind of a I don't know if they're. Sorry, you go.
No, tell me.
I don't know. I'm asking you the question, then I'm answering it. I almost was going to say, I don't know if. I mean, they're relatable in certain ways, but also some of them are unrelatable in a way. Like Moira, you're like, I want to be you, but I don't think I've ever been her. You know, I don't know.
I think that I am definitely a combination, ironically, of Stevie and Alexis and Johnny. Meaning that, like, I'm very optimistic. I'm a positive thinker. I'm all about, like, look at the bright side, and we're going to make this work, and it's going to be great. And it's, you know, mixed with a little bit of reality, like Stevie. Where I'm like, you're right, whatever. It's never going to happen, you know? Just a little bit of that, like, okay, whatever. And I really loved the transformation that Alexis went through. And I think that when I look back over the last 6 years between my cancer and my divorce, like, I have definitely changed a lot. Like, fundamentally, I'm the same person, but I think that my priorities have changed and my relationships have changed, and, you know, a lot for the better, some for the worse. Some people I'm like, I just can't stand being around you anymore. Sorry. Like, it's just, I don't have room for toxicity in my life, or I've set up better boundaries and things like that. And I think, she was also so desperate for love in the beginning. Like, anybody that paid any attention to her, loved her or whatnot, she was so needy for that. And then she ended up in the end, I'm not going to give it away, but she ended up in the end really loving herself.
Yeah.
And not needing somebody else's approval or validation. And I think I really resonate with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Just segue into, how did you start doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so
nothing to do with anything we just talked about.
As far as photography is concerned, yeah. So I'll give you a really long story short. Back in 2008, I had my daughter in 2005, and then I was a stay-at-home mom. In 2008, we were trying to have another baby, and I was having a lot of issues. I had miscarriages, and I had ectopic pregnancy that ruptured, and it was like all sorts of things. But in my Johnny way, I was all like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. My ectopic really rattled me because it was really very severe. I was told when I went to the doctor, like, if you don't have surgery in the next half an hour, you're going to die. So the hospital's waiting for you. Yeah, it was insane. So I had surgery. I thought I was going to lose my ovaries. It was a whole thing. I ended up not, thank God. And then I went to we decided we were going to start in vitro because then it would bypass the tubes and the ovary, the whole thing. It would just bypass the whole system. So I found out I was pregnant the day before we started IVF, by the way, which was crazy because the doctor was like, you cannot get pregnant. You have no tube on that side. The chance of you getting pregnant is 1 in 10 million, whatever. And of course I ended up getting pregnant.
Wow.
But the point is, while we were in that period of time after my ectopic, before we could start trying again and healing and whatnot from the surgery, it was a very depressing time for me. And I don't really like to live in that space. So I decided to pick up a camera and teach myself photography as a distraction. And shortly after, a friend of mine asked me to assist her on a boudoir shoot. She was kind of like a newer photographer. And she's like, your camera's better than mine. So can you bring it? Let's go. She didn't want me. She just wanted my camera. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And I just loved it. And I was like, I'm not going to sit around and feel bad for myself. I am going to start a business. I'm going to do this for fun. And I started the business out of my house and found out 4 minutes later that I was pregnant. So the business and the baby at the same time. And it was great. Yeah, that's the condensed version of the story.
Yeah. Well, it took you, but where has it taken you, let's say? Because you kind of blew up, I feel like.
Yeah, I did. So I didn't mean to. It was totally an accident. I really didn't mean to. I had no idea that could even happen.
Right.
When I was about 3 years in, I photographed a local photographer who was pretty well known in the industry. I knew very little of her, but I knew she was kind of a big deal. And she asked me to do her shoot. And I was like, what? I am not qualified for that. But the weirdest thing was that nobody was really doing exclusively boudoir in the area. It was very, very few people. There was maybe I could count them on one hand. And I'm talking about Long Island, New York, Westchester, very, very, very few people. So it's probably why she chose me, because I was one of four, it was and she knew me,
Yeah.
She asked me to take pictures of her. I absolutely flipped out. I was like, this is the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. But after I photographed her, she said to me, how do you know all of this? How do you know how to move the body like that? You understand that people really have a hard time posing, right? And I was like, no, I don't understand, because what do you mean? This way it looks bad and this way it looks good. It's
right. You just had
not
that
hard.
eye. You had it.
Well, I had it because I come from a fine art drawing background, as you know, and I've worked with the body for a long time. Yeah, I understand how the body works from the inside out, and I just know what I see and I understand how it relates. But it's so innate to me at this point that I didn't even know I was doing it. They say all the time, when you try to teach something, how do you teach somebody something that comes so innate to you? So she said to me, you need to be teaching this. And I was like, what does that even mean? I didn't even know that there was an industry, it was just so she recommended me to teach at an organization called After Dark. After Dark it was a convention for photographers, and it would start at 3 p.m. and go to 3 a.m. Thank God I was a lot younger than I am now. And so I started teaching there. And then from there, I met, somebody in the lighting business who was like, oh, we love your work. Try our lights. And then from there, they recommended me to, another teaching job that they sponsored or whatnot. And what happened was, nobody was really specializing at that point. People specialize now like crazy. I was one of the first people in the industry to say, I only shoot boudoir. And people would say, you're crazy. You cannot do that. You have to shoot everything to make a living. And I was like, no, I don't, because I have 2 little kids at home. And if I'm going to leave my kids at home, it better be worthwhile. It better be something that I love to do. So I'm choosing to only shoot boudoir. And I mean, it took off. The first year, I probably shot 125 women. The second year, I shot over 300 women out of my house. Yeah, it was nuts. It was just and yeah, it was crazy.
There's only 365 days in a year. Oh my God.
I would do more than one a day. Yeah, it was insane. I would do sometimes groups of 5 in a day. 5 girls would get together and be like, can we do a party pricing or whatever? I'd do 5 girls in a day. I mean, it was bonkers. It was so stupid, but it was great. But it was so hard though. It was real. And I had a baby, I had a baby and it was nuts. But that caught the attention of the photography world. And then one day I flew out to San Francisco to take lessons with a photographer, a portrait photographer who I admired. And I was like, I just want to learn. Like, I don't know what I don't know. I taught myself. I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know. Can you help me? And she said, come to my studio for 2 days. I'll work it out. So I went to her studio and she hired a model and she said, okay, here's the model. I want to watch you shoot. And of course I feel like the sweat going down my back, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shit. But I realized in that moment that she's either going to tell me, you suck and fix it, or she's going to compliment me. And I figured it would be somewhere in between, right? Like there's certain things I'm doing right, certain things I'm doing wrong. I sat there for about a half an hour shooting the model, and she literally goes, I don't know what you're doing here. You don't need me. I'm going to go in my office, have fun.
Oh my gosh.
What does that mean? Like, what? She's like, you don't need me. Just trust your instinct. You're going to be fine. And we had flown back to New York together. There was a photography show right after that. And she went to the people that were in charge of the photography show. These were the people that were in charge of the biggest photography conventions, and said, this girl needs to be teaching here. She's validated. Like, I'm validating her. She needs to be teaching here. And what happened was the two people that were in charge of that show ended up leaving shortly after, and they went to work at a company called Creative Live. Creative Live, a lot of people probably know it because they do a lot of different types of instruction on there, but it was one of the first online instructional websites, and it was a big deal. And it started with photography, and if you got a Creative Live, you were famous. Like, you were like, wow. It was like the Super Bowl of photography, like it was the ultimate. And about 3 months later, I get a phone call from the woman who used to run the show. And she said, I went to work for Creative Live. We'd like to meet with you. And I was like, okay. And I went in and I met them, and I sat in a meeting, and I convinced them that I could give them 3 days of content and we could do it live. And I was her first hire for Creative Live, which I was like, what the fuck were you thinking? Because like, I didn't know anything. Like, what do you mean? I never taught like that, like that was a big deal. It was a big deal,
How long? So you said 3 days of content, but how long each day were you teaching?
It was about 6 hours a day. So it was somewhere between 18 and 20 hours of content, because we had to do like some extra classes and stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's nothing. I did a 5-day class after that. It was crazy. But, yeah, so they asked me to do Creative Live, and that really kind of legitimized me. And then at that point, it was like, we want you to speak. We want you to do that. It was just banana. I never expected it. It was just bananas. Yeah. And honestly, I was teaching all the way up to COVID. The month that COVID hit was supposed to be my busiest month ever. And I loved it, and I loved traveling, and I loved teaching. And I became a Nikon ambassador, which is a very big deal also. And it was like, it's very close to my heart. And, all these like amazing things happen. I was able to do a lot of public speaking, and it was just like, I had my platform on Instagram, and I had an incredible support when I went through breast cancer. The community really came together. It was really, really great. And then COVID came and like squashed everything. So, but it's cool, because this is the thing. I've been doing it for about 15 years almost. And I can't help but think, same thing, right? Like, how much are you willing to annihilate your life? Maybe it's time for something different for me. I'm not giving up photography, but I have really pulled back on the teaching. I don't want to be away from my kids. I'm divorced now. So obviously my kids are older. My daughter just graduated high school. So it's like, I want to be with them as much as I can right now. My son only has 3.5 years left of school, like it's hard. It's really hard when they get older. So I'm okay with where the universe has landed me. But like, what's next? I don't know. Somebody the other day just said to me, oh, you need to write another book. My first book is called, can I curse on your, I know I did already, but can I curse? Okay. So I'm like, I don't know how like PG rated I need to be. But anyway, my first book is called What the Fuck Just Happened? A Survivor's Guide to Life After Breast Cancer. So I was like, well, maybe What the Fuck Just Happened? A Survivor's Guide to Life After Divorce. I don't know. It's like, I'm just going to write a trilogy. Exactly. That's what I mean. A trilogy of horrible things that have happened in my life.
What's the third one? We don't want to wait.
Yeah, I know.
We don't want the third one.
No, we don't.
The last one will be more like,
what the fuck just happened? I won the lottery.
Yeah, or I'm amazing.
What the fuck just happened? Nothing happened.
Life's great.
But yeah, I got into it, and it kind of became just a bigger platform of like, empowering women, teaching women, and then teaching other photographers how to take care of the women the same way that I do. So it could be like a bigger army, right? We could reach more women. And then, of course, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, that became a large part of the population that I photograph and still is, are breast cancer survivors.
Yeah. What, just going back to too, you were talking, what drives you? What keeps you going? Because you've definitely been through so much. Like, what drives you? Where do you think your strength comes from? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I've learned over my lifetime that some people are just more resilient than others. I'm stubborn as fuck, I guess. Like I don't want to be beaten by anything. Like I make a decision. It's a conscious decision of how you want to show up when something is happening. Even now, right? During this war and this conflict and all of that, I have a choice of how I want to show up in the world. I have a choice during cancer or divorce, how I want to show up in the world. I have a choice in parenting, how I want to show up. I kind of look at it from the end going backwards. What's the end result? If the end result is I'm going to save my life, if the end result is I'm going to be divorced, if the end result, whatever it is, then what do I need to do to get there? I kind of always focus on like the end. There will be an end. Nothing is permanent. Nothing in our life is permanent. No. So how do I want to look back and say, oh yeah, I handled that with grace, or I handled that with resiliency, or I handled that in the best way that I knew how, whether that means crying or laughing or being a role model for somebody else. When I was diagnosed with cancer and I decided to take to social media and make videos and, I have a YouTube channel and all the things. And when I did that, that was a decision because I said, you know what, if I go through this and I keep it to myself, it's disease. If I go through this and I help somebody else, I save somebody else's life, then it's purpose. And I didn't want to look at it like just disease, although obviously I knew it was. I wanted to look at it like I was given an opportunity to put my mark on the world through this. It's unfortunate that it had to be that way, but it was. And this is the cards that I was dealt. So I'm going to make the best of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people in your position have given up. And so I really commend you. And I'm glad you had that drive.
Thank you.
Stubbornness.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody, I talk about this concept of super survivor. And, like when I was going through it, I remember one of my neighbors said to me, like, oh, you're probably going to run a marathon after this. And I was like, really? I can't even lift the fork to feed myself. I'm so tired. Are you kidding? And there is this concept sort of a super survivor. You should just be happy that you survived cancer. You should just be happy you're alive. And you're like, but I don't feel alive. The whole concept of my book is based on like, I may be alive, but I don't feel alive. I feel like actually I just got run over by a Mack truck and you're all expecting me to get up and make dinner, it's just not going to happen. And so the concept of super survivor is actually very detrimental because it puts a lot of pressure on survivors to show up in a certain way, to do breast cancer walks, to raise money, to do sometimes we just want to be anonymous, or sometimes we just want to heal in our own way. And so there's a lot of people who don't make it public, who keep it very private, or, certainly don't make it as public as I did. I mean, I post, naked pictures of myself, but it doesn't mean that they're not like heroes of the industry, of not the industry, but the community, or that, because everybody is sort of saving their own life. And when I say that, my cancer was not a threat to my life necessarily. Thankfully, it wasn't in my lymph nodes. And yes, it was a threat, but I caught it, at an early enough stage that I was able to take it out of my body and have treatment, and hopefully it'll never come back. But it was more of a threat to my life, meaning like the life that I live. Than my life as a person. And that did change. That my life did in a way die and come back after. So, everybody kind of does it in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Oy. Yeah. So you said, actually, you kind of answered this. I have, where are you on your I called it health journey. I don't know.
Journey.
Your health journey. I don't know. Which you did say. So you're
I'm
wait,
6 years
years,
out.
6 years
Mhm.
out that you have to go. You go to the doctor once a year, but you feel like you do want to go more,
So
just to feel better.
like, just make me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am still being treated in the way that I take tamoxifen every day. I will be taking that for 10 years. I'm about
What does
halfway
that?
through.
Sorry, what does that do?
That's okay. So
Okay.
my cancer is estrogen positive, which means that my cancer feeds off of estrogen. So that's partially why I had my ovaries removed, because if you remove your ovaries, you make less estrogen. There's less food for cancer cells. Tamoxifen, like if this is a cancer cell, it's like a little Pac-Man, right? And then it eats estrogen. So if you take tamoxifen, what it does is it blocks the cells from being able to eat the estrogen. So basically, if your cancer is estrogen positive, you're lucky. It's like the best case scenario because you can take this pill for 10 years that blocks it. And then you're hoping in 10 years, with between ovaries out and age and all of that, that you're not going to have as much estrogen. And then you don't need to be on it for longer as of now. Who knows what the studies are going to say then.
Yeah.
So I am still going through treatment in that way. I still take tamoxifen every night. It sucks. It's not fun. It gives you hot flashes, memory loss, insomnia. There's a lot of bone aches involved with it. There's, all sorts of different side effects. You don't feel normal on it, but you find a new normal, I guess, to say.
Okay.
When I first started tamoxifen, it was really crazy because I thought I was going to commit suicide. Like it was bad. I was like, I remember calling my doctor and just being like, today's the day. So what are we going to do about this? Like I am, thank God there's a little voice in my head that's telling me I'm not thinking straight because I am seriously considering killing myself right now. And she was just like, all right, well, let's take you off tamoxifen. So there was an adjustment there for me for sure. But yeah, now it's been about 5 years that I'm on it, a little over 5 years. So actually January will be 6 years, I guess. So, and that's another thing. It's like, you don't want to be on it. And you don't want to be off it,
Right. I was just thinking that when you were saying like, I want to be off this, but wait, isn't it scary to be off this?
Yeah, it's super scary. Hold on. What? Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
I love you too.
Aw.
At least you said I love you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still being treated. Like I said, I had my ovaries out 2 years ago. I do see my oncologist once a year now, but we'll see how that goes. But I do see my breast surgeon, my plastic surgeon, also about once a year, if not more. Like I just had an issue the other day that my implant flipped, and it's really cool. You get one flat boob and one round boob. It's like awesome.
Did it flip while you were sleeping? While you were what?
Yeah. It just
you woke up and it was
sleeping.
flipped.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing because you don't feel it, but to flip it back hurts so badly.
Oh.
So I'm like, and it's so hard. So I'm like, why did I not feel it?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, so this is the thing. It's a good thing I'm dating a doctor because he's like, I think your boob flipped. I'm like, oh, can you fix it?
I didn't know you were dating.
Yeah,
we'll talk about I know, I guess.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But
thinking about that, I'm like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you can always
on air.
You can ask me. Yeah, so that's a thing. Boobs flip. Also, implants rupture, and you need to get them replaced now and again. And technology's changing, so it's like the implants I have now are going to be totally different than the implants that they have in 5 years from now. So for sure, I'm going to end up having to change these at some point. I'm still young. You can't live 50 years with the same implant. So it's like, at some point I'll have to have another surgery. So it's an ongoing process. In fact, I remember when I went to Sloan, we went to the plastic surgeon, and he's showing me before and after pictures. And the before was like, 1990. And the after picture was like 1998. And then there's like another after picture. It's like 2004. And I'm like, why do you have so many pictures so many years apart? Like, aren't they done? And she goes, oh, honey, you're never going to be done. You're going to be coming here forever. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I did not know that. I mean, the only thing I'd ever heard about implants was you did have to get them replaced, I thought, but I didn't know.
I mean, when you have cancer, even if you cure your cancer, in breast cancer at least, you are going to have to see doctors forever. You know, you're always going to have to see them. And I remember being so depressed after that. Like, oh my God, my life is over. I'm stuck. You know, I like didn't even have a doctor's appointment for like years before this happened. Like I never even took Advil. It was like, what is going on now? I have all these pill bottles next to my bed. And I'm like, what is happening here? But you know, it's, and because like I said, the cancer industry is always changing. There's always new medications, new treatments, new advancements. So we as thrivers and survivors need to keep on top of that. In fact, I've gone to my doctor and been like, don't I need this if I'm doing this? And she's like, yeah, you can do that. I'm like, why am I coming to you with the things and you're not coming to me? I don't understand. But that's how it is because we're just guinea pigs, you know?
Yeah. What is your, I mean, I asked like how you get through things and everything, but also too, even just now, like what is your self-care? What do you do to?
I meditate every day. I do yoga. I'm back to my yoga practice now. It was like my first time since I was very heavily into yoga before I was diagnosed. And then I didn't do it for a long time because I couldn't because of my surgeries and whatnot. It just was too painful. I think both emotionally and physically. So I'm back to yoga now. My self-care isn't always great because there's a fine line between like eat the brownie and the brownie's not good for you, you know, but it's like, well, life's short. I'm going to eat the brownie.
Right.
So it's not as like, everyone's always like, oh, I would be a vegan if I had cancer. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You would eat the brownie because, you know, you realize you're going to die one day. Like, you know, it's like, you're going to eat the brownie.
Yeah.
But, I don't get enough sleep, I'll tell you that. But other than that, my self-care is, I think the most important self-care that I've really practiced over the last few years is boundary setting, therapy, understanding how I work, understanding how my relationships work. Honestly, divorce was an amazing act of self-care for me because when I started looking around at all the toxins in my life, I realized I was laying next to one every single night for 21 years. You know, that was really a very big eye opener for me. I really need to like listen to my gut. I had to sort of reconnect with my intuition. I had between my divorce and cancer, I had a lot of issues with my nervous system. Like little things would just like throw off my nervous system, like a PTSD, you know, I mean, my relationship was very abusive. So it was like a lot of that was happening. And I, in a lot of ways, blame my cancer on that. You know, like there was really no reason for somebody like me to have cancer. And I realized that it was me not, I'm not trying to blame myself, but it was me not taking care of myself, me not listening to what my gut was trying to tell me going against those things. And then the universe just coming and knocking louder and louder and louder until I was like, okay, I can't ignore you anymore.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, I think the number one most amazing thing that you can do for your self-care is boundary setting.
Definitely.
It's not all massages and, you know, I go to the infrared spa and I do, you know, the sauna and I do all the things and I travel and I do what I seek joy ferociously because, you know, life is too short not to. But if I had to say like, there's one ingredient that helps, it's boundary setting.
It's boundary setting. And that's a form of self-love too. Like
100%.
I think you really have to, I think the best form of self-care is love yourself, right?
Yeah.
Not saying I'm perfectly great at that, but definitely. And that's what I know for me too. I don't meditate as much as I like to, but I do yoga every day. And there's a little bit of meditation in there. And that's the whole being comfortable with yourself and tapping into yourself.
I mean, it's
and everything.
Yeah. That relationship with your intuition is so important.
Yeah.
Especially when your heart and your gut and your mind are sometimes in conflict. You know, we do a lot of that. Well, I should, or the right thing to do is this. And your gut's like, no, don't do it, you know? And I don't know. I've just learned over the last few years that anytime I've said no to something or anytime I've set a boundary, it's either relieved me of a lot of stress or it's strengthened my relationships because boundaries are really not meant to break relationships. They're meant to strengthen relationships. And if they break your relationship, it goes to show the person was breaking boundaries and they don't respect you to do that.
Yeah. I like that. What is something you cannot leave the house without? I mean, this can be not wallet, phone, you know, keys.
That's fine because I leave the house without them all the time.
Yeah.
What is something I can't leave?
Like you feel almost like not panicky, but uh, like this is stupid. I actually can't leave. I mean, I can, but I really don't like to leave the house without Advil. Not that I take it every day, but I know when I don't leave the house and
You're
I
gonna
don't
need
bring
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bag of it in my purse as we speak. I don't like to leave the house without gum.
Yeah, it's another one.
I do get a little panicky.
No?
What if I
Yeah.
see somebody and I have bad breath?
Also, too, you need it sometimes for nervous energy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that happens. Like my son will be like, "Do you have gum?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have gum," and he'll start looking. He's like, "I can't find it." I'm like, "I don't have gum." Like there is a panic thing.
Where does it go? It's somewhere with my lip gloss and my hair bands. Like I don't know.
Didn't we watch? I think weren't we together when we watched? I swear, the Friends episode where Courtney Cox, Monica holds Ross's baby. Weren't we all? I swear we had to have been together. And she's like, "I'll always have gum." She tells the people, "I swear you weren't there. If you weren't there, that's weird." I swear. I just saw that.
That's so funny. Yeah, I need to always have gum. It's so true. And I don't even chew it that often, but I just need to have it.
Right. To know it's there. Well, that's the whole thing. I don't take Advil every day, but I need to know it's there.
Yeah.
What can't you live without? Now, this can be deep. This can be superficial. It can be food. Whatever
I live without. I mean, like besides my children, because I'm not even sure I can't live without them. I need to start adjusting to that because my daughter's like, she's putting this whole, I'm 18. I don't need you to tell me what to do. And I was like, okay, then go get a job and pay the mortgage. Besides the obvious, the children, the family, all
right.
What can't I live without? Okay, you know what my new favorite thing is? Oh, shallow. Love it.
No, it's okay. Mine was peanut butter, so
pizza for sure if I'm choosing a food. But I bought these things. They're like, I spent like $1 on them. I'm not even kidding. But I bought these things that go around your wrist. They're like wristbands kind of when you wash your face so that the water doesn't go like all the way down your nose. I am not kidding. Every single time I put them on, I'm like, I fucking love these. This is like my favorite thing I own right now. They're amazing.
Where were they?
I'll send you a link. Do you know when you wash your face and the water drips down?
Oh, it's so annoying.
Or it just feels icky or you're cold. And it's this is the best thing ever. You will never experience it again. And it's like you feel like Wonder Woman when you put them on. Like I am so awesome and I am going to wash my face and I rule. That's at the moment what I cannot live with.
I love that.
The dumbest thing ever.
Never heard of that. I feel like too, I wouldn't mind using them even when it sounds stupid, when I wash my hands, because I wash my hands 50 million times a day because I
it gets under your watch.
Yeah, and then you got to take everything. Yeah,
so annoying. I'll send you a pair.
I'll be wearing them at school.
I'm not even kidding. I literally I am Superwoman right now. I feel so badass.
Do you also wear a sweatband, like a headband when you wash your?
Yeah.
You just need to have. I think you need to take a picture of that.
I might.
They also need to all match. I'm saying.
Yeah, obviously, it comes as like a matching set, and then
no, I mean then the headband. Too.
Yeah, the headband thing. It comes as a matching set, and then I don't know. Every time I put it on, I take it off, and I'm like, I won again. I'm just saying, like you said.
So obviously, too, it feels. There's just something that feels good. There's something about wristbands that just feel.
I also wear one when I play pickleball because I play pickleball a lot, and I wear only one because my bracelets annoy me. So if I wear it here, like my bracelets don't move, and I'm
there you go.
So I am so badass, and I can do it with one wristband.
Well, think of what was the whole point of those for sports? Like, do they actually soak up your wrist sweat?
They make me so much more if I didn't wear it.
I was thinking, and were you ever like, oh my god, my wrists are just sweating so much? Like that doesn't.
Yeah, there's times I play pickleball. I'm like, I am so hot. If I just took this wristband off, I'd feel so much better.
All right, that was my last question. It doesn't.
I'll be laying in bed tonight, like, oh, I also can't live without this.
I know. It makes you think. I mean, some people said, I can't live without music. I can't, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so superficial.
No, The wristbands are so much better than music. It's like you hear music when you put them on. It's like, it's amazing.
Love it. All right. All right. I don't know. Is there anything you would like to wait? I didn't get to ask you because you also are like, I don't know if an influencer a little bit, I think too. Like you
A little bit.
a little bit, right? You have
I don't know who I'm influencing, but so stupid. Well, first of all, it started because people have an obsession over my hair. It's like they are obsessed with my hair. I probably get like, if I open up I mean, not today. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened today, but when I open up my messages every day, it's like, thank you for writing your book. Thank you for your videos. I love you. Thank you for your divorce videos. You're so funny. Also, P.S., what do you use to curl your hair? How do you curl your hair? What do you do to straighten your hair? What do you use on your hair? How'd you get your hair to grow? How come you didn't lose your hair during chemo? There's so many questions about my hair. I'm like, guys, I have a face too, like what is
and mind.
But yeah, I get a lot. I have a lot of hair, and right now it's straight and it's kind of icky, but usually it's like kind of big and wavy.
It looks great to me.
Thank you. And so a hair company reached out to me and asked me to do some videos for them with like hair wands and stuff like that. Okay. So I did a bunch of those over time.
Yep.
And, they loved that I was a cancer survivor and I still had hair. It was like, oh, but you have to like take care of your hair. So, so I ended up doing a bunch of videos and then it ended up kind of being like, oh, and while you're curling your hair, I need to know what shirt you're wearing. I'm like,
oh, okay.
It just kind of happened like that. I do it like here and there, and then I drop off the face of the earth with it, and then I go back. Listen, I can dress anybody in the world. It's part of what I love to do. I mean, I originally wanted to go to school for fashion, so like I am really good at seeing somebody, knowing what they should wear. I love dressing them up for the shoots and things like that. Mm-hmm. I could not dress myself to save my life. I don't know what it is. It's like a disconnect. So when people are like, what are you wearing? I'm like, why do you want to know? I don't understand. Is it like, so you know what not to buy? Like I have like no fashion sense whatsoever.
You do.
I don't think so. Thank you. So I find it hilarious. Like when I see that people bought something that I posted, I'm like, that's so funny. Why? Like I know nothing about fashion. Yeah.
Well, it's fun.
It's fun. You know what? It's a good distraction. It's fun.
Yeah.
The whole point was like, I'm 40 something. I'm like 5'1.5". I don't have real boobs. Like if I can make clothes look half decent, what's your excuse?
Right.
Like,
there you go.
I'm short.
I'm 5'1 3/4, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought I was 5'2" at one point, and I didn't shrink. It's just that I never really, I was like, why do I have it in my head that I'm 5'2"? I think I said that to the nurse when she was measuring. She's like, well, you are 5 3/4. I was like,
I thought you were 5'3", by the way.
Oh my God, never.
I don't know why I thought that, because I always thought you were a little taller than me. I definitely was 5'2", but I shrunk during chemo.
Oh wow.
I think
we were like
shrinks your bone.
Same height.
Yeah.
Probably because I wore heels most times I saw you. Like in the club. Yeah. Can't believe what we danced in.
Okay. Not just what we danced in, what we walked around in that weather. We had like half shirts. Of course. I mean,
no jeans
would freeze. It was so jeans. I was just telling somebody
we
about
did not wear jeans to clubs. I was like,
did not wear jeans. No, you weren't allowed in if you wore jeans. Like even men wore like pants and shoes. Mm-hmm. Now you're like, where are your pants? I think you all forgot your pants, and take your Uggs off. They're disgusting. And you know what's weird though? Like because my daughter's 18, she's like the age that when we met each other, right?
Yeah.
And she's wearing the same clothes we're wearing. Cargo pants, half shirts. I'm like, I literally wore that when I was your age. Like literally I could pull that out of my old closet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think Jackie had that when we were, like seriously. I'll never forget you had this half shirt. It was like black and it had stripes, almost like Adidas stripes on it. And it was like, it made the rounds, like we all wore it.
It was so cute. It was
so
cute.
I
don't remember actually showing my belly.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
You did.
I did show my belly? Okay.
It wasn't a big deal then because we were like svelte,
Yeah. We were 18. 19.
That's what they wear now, except now they're also wearing like low cut and cropped. I'm like, where's the rest of the fabric on that shirt? Where's the rest of the shirt? I don't know. It's a bra. It's called a bra. That's what I tell my daughter. It's called a bra. She's like, it's not a bra. It's a shirt. I'm like, there is no country in the world that would consider that a shirt. It's a bra. Admit it. but it's not true.
Man, I forgot about that Adidas looking shirt.
I love that shirt. I don't know
Oh,
why it always
what
stuck
happened
with
to
me.
it?
Oh, we should go to the thrift store and find it. It's
Probably wasn't really Adidas.
no, it wasn't Adidas. We probably bought it at like, I don't know, Joyce Leslie. Like, where did we go shopping? I feel like we got to go.
Wait,
for
this
the
was
going out
college?
shirts. Yeah. So where did we shop in college? I don't even remember shopping.
Me
How
neither.
did we shop in
We
college?
had no money.
We had no money. We had no car.
It was a great mall, though. That was a good
Yeah.
mall.
But we only went when
heck
our
did I
parents
do?
came to visit. Treat us to Fridays. So dumb. Oh my God. You know,
I wouldn't change it. No.
No, I would never change it at all. When I was moving, I packed up all my photo albums and I was looking. I mean, we have to get together.
Oh, I
and just go through the photos. It's beyond bonkers.
I know exactly where they are because, and I've looked through them sort of recently because my 30th reunion came up. So I was like trying to see if I have more pictures from college.
Yeah.
Our freshman year, especially, than I do from high school. I did not have candid photos from high school at all.
Well, who like had a camera back then? I feel like.
I think that brings us to the
I think we've embarrassed ourselves enough.
And and thanks, Jen, so much for coming on. It was so much fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so honored.
Yes. Oh. And and if you came to watch for Jen, come back and watch for someone else. All right. Bye.